Here's my one-page speaking outline, and here's my audience. What significant event took place on August 18, 2008? My birth, of course, but that's not all. Although my birth was the highlight of your lives that day, there was another significant event that greatly impacted many others. I've conducted in-depth research on the topic and sifted through various articles and news reports and have come to a conclusion. Though short-lived, these attacks played a significant role in the disruption and upheavals that occurred in the Middle East during the 2000s. The Afghan Taliban attack on the Western forces, though unsuccessful, proved to Westerners that their presence in the Middle East was no longer being tolerated. Today, we're going to look into the history of the Taliban, discuss the events of the attacks, and discuss its impact. First, let's take a quick look into the Taliban's history. To understand the Taliban, we have to know their motives and intentions. According to J.J. Collins in a book titled Understanding War in Afghanistan, published in 2011, the Taliban was formed due to the chaos and relentlessness that was taking place due to corruption and civil wars in the Middle East at that time. Just from 1992 to 1993, there are over 36,000 deaths, 100,000 injured, and the crime was high. Mainly rape, robbery, and kidnapping were taking place. Determined to fight this, the Taliban was formed by madrasa students whose mission was to restore law and order through strict Islamic rule. They achieved this, but according to Stearns in 2009, an article she published in 2009, the Taliban felt that the West coming in disrupted their way of life. So the purpose of their attacks on them was to coerce the West to leave the Middle East and create propaganda to show the world that they had enough strength. So what happened during these battles? Let's talk about it. In the evening, there was a battle between the French patrol and the Taliban troops in Uzbek Valley, west of Kabul. Eyewitness testimonies report that the Afghanistan Taliban used a Western style of combat called the C-shaped pincer, in which they had attempted to trap the French in on both sides. The results of this battle resulted in 10 dead French troops, 21 French troops injured, and 20 to 40 Afghan bystanders dead. This was reported by Le Monde in 2008. Simultaneously, there was an attack on Camp Salerno, a U.S. base east of coast. They used suicide cars and suicide infantrymen to attempt to gain entryway to a vulnerable entry point of the base. The attack was obstructed, but it resulted in 3 injured American troops. Now that we know what occurred that day, let's look at its immediate and overarching effects. NATO called an immediate counterstrike on reported Taliban villages for 3 days straight. Here's a photograph of the bombings. According to NBC News in an article published in 2008, these bombings resulted in 40 people dead, 150 homes destroyed, and 2,000 people displaced. Here's the aftermath of the bombings. And here's families of Afghan families seeking shelter after the bombings. General Georgeland deemed these attacks necessary, but after Afghanistan intel reported that most of the deaths were women and children, this resulted in massive public scrutiny from all over the world. And due to the amount of French deaths in that attack, French deployment was decreased to help calm French public outrage and media outrage. These impacts highlight the relentlessness and the efficiency of the Taliban and force the West to come up with new attack and defense strategies, ultimately increasing the wartime debt and longevity. In summary, the Afghan Taliban attack on the Western bases, though unsuccessful, proved to Westerners that their presence in the Middle East will no longer be tolerated. Today we took a quick look at the Taliban's history, the events that occurred during those attacks, and its impacts. So next time we are ready to blow out the candles on my cake, let's take a moment to remember the precious lives that were lost that day and the lives that were subsequently lost due to the events.
So you just want us to